So first, I would like to thank all of you for being here this morning and joining us to officially help Bob celebrate the opening of the Money Pit Recording Studio. I had the pleasure of having a tour of this facility a while ago, and I was just absolutely enamored with what he's done here. So I'm sure all of you are as well. And Bob, we're just super happy to help you celebrate.
Appreciate it.
Melissa, would you like to say something on behalf of the town?
Hi, how are you? I really am excited to be here today. This is something you expect in a big city, Nashville, LA, something like that. So to have this so close and to be available to our local talent, which I know there's many people who are very interested in music and love performing. So I think you're going to be very successful, and thank you.
Oh, my pleasure.
Yes.
Thank you for being here.
All right, Bob, here's what we're going to do. We're going to count back from 3. Everybody help me count. And then on 1.
Let's get Bob to say something.
Oh, Bob, I'm sorry. Would you like to say something?
Let me hold you. Sure. Again, thank you all for being here. I appreciate it. And thank you for the kind words of being a Nashville Choir. I've got high standards and want to give everything our best. And it shows in the memorabilia we've put up and the 9-month build out with just creating a comfortable space. And let me thank Ronnie Henry, TJ Showalter, who's here, Steve Jenkins, Shane Goodwin, and Reed Goodwin. They all had a big hand in what you see here today, for what you're hearing. So I appreciate it. Thank you guys.
All right, guys, we're going to start at 3. Count back, Bob. Cut on 1. 3, 2, 1. Yay!
Bob, you had a great ribbon cutting. All these people show up to support you.
Yeah.
Tell me, how did you get started in this? Because I kind of know, because we've been working together for, 30 or 40 years, it seems like. Back when you had more hair.
You too, since 1999.
Yes.
So 25 years.
So you finally got your own little studio. So tell us a little bit about your little background so people know a little more about you.
Absolutely. I really didn't want to own a studio. I take that back. In my 20s, I had a buddy of mine that played steel guitar, worked for IBM. He says, hey, when you finish converting that bus that you're going to sell, let's build a studio. He said, I can build the board. He's got the intellect and the know-how to do all that stuff. And before all that transpired, he got transferred and we lost touch. And I began just playing with a lot of groups, being a hired gun, so to speak. So been in different buses nearly every weekend, just going to play bass and fiddle, So then I ended up playing on many of those groups' projects in studios all over the DMV, some nice places, some places just, some basement studios, and so just to chalk it up to a lot of notches in my belt.
The life of a musician.
Right, experience. Yeah, exactly. It was a great experience, and so. So it's been great just playing all that time. So I'd forgotten about wanting to own a studio, and then I spoke to the Rotary not long ago, was invited to speak there, and I opened up by saying I never really wanted to own a studio, which was what I said to a backup singer in Harrisonburg at a studio I was doing some work at. She says, Bob, you ought to own a studio. I said, no, why would I want to do that? I can come in here and let the engineer do the work, let Robbie do the thinking, So as it turns out, God has a sense of humor. A year later, that building got sold, so that guy had to downsize. So he called me and said, you want to buy this backup gear?
Well, I did it to you, too. I told my son, I said, I got some stuff, Bob, do you want it?
Yeah, exactly. And so I thought, I said, no, my brother uses that same format, which is ADAT. It's digital audio tape. And so he said, no, I've got 10 machines already. I don't want that, So I talked it over with my wife, and she said, well, we can maybe do some live stuff, And so I did that, and it turned out to, after 4 trips in the Jeep to get all the gear there, I'm thinking, all right, let me rethink this. So I started just doing some stuff out of my home, some small things.
Sure.
And it grew, and of course, since then, I got an enclosed trailer for doing live remotes. We did the Dixie Melody Boys about a year and a half ago here in town, the live album. So we're set up to do that now, totally. So outgrew several rooms in the house, and began to be more interested in the tape side of things, and so I'd worked equally on the other side of the mic with the tape machines in the past, but not paid a whole lot of attention to what was going on in the control rooms. And so I studied a lot during COVID, studio design, studied it both ways, digital versus analog, and more real true analog, 2-inch tape, and so that's the route I decided to go. Weighed the pros and cons, and read a lot of gear blogs. Exactly.
You got something to stand out, right?
Exactly. Give me some knobs, and I can get you what you need quicker than I can go through different windows of software to get what I need. And for some people, that's what works. And they don't have the space to pull all this off. So it takes a lot of room to do that. So.
Well, you got a little studio here, but it's great. It's amazing the stuff you can get done in it. So, what kind of things are you looking for if you're out, customer-wise?
Well, I decided, we're not going to turn down any genre. Some of those bands, they play their own music. Some of those I've had the opportunity to play on. And I studied some other genres like hip-hop I wasn't really familiar with, but I studied it just so I could be familiar with at least mixing, knowing how to mix it. And
everything's a little different.
Yeah. And of course, listening to what the client wants and how they want to do things, if, they know what they want. So, we've had the privilege to play it all, some country, some gospel, some little bit of rock and roll.
I think the big question is, the Money Pit. Now, where'd you come up with that name?
I was reading the credits of a Sarah Evans CD many years ago. I read all the credits. Who played on it, who wrote the songs, what studio they recorded in, the artist's backliner notes of thanking people sometimes. And so I thought, what a great name for a studio. It was in Nashville. I said, if I ever have a studio, that's what I would name it. Because the joke...
Because it is.
Because the inside information is all too often, and I'd be working in sessions, and whoever's in charge, the client said, that's all right, Sue, don't worry about that last note. The clock's ticking, And so they settled. They didn't have to, all because of a few more bucks to fix something, fix a note, to fix a singing note or something. And so so in some circles it became, as known as, it could be a money pit if you didn't know how to work it. But
it's kind of like flipping a house, right?
Right. So I thought, well, that's a name you'll never forget. And some of my friends said, well, you might be running off customers. I thought, well, I don't know. It's just kind of a joke,
keep busy. That's enough.
Well,
congratulations,
Bob.
Thank
you very much.
You've got your own little studio going. You're keeping busy. It's great, and you're making a living as a musician. That's hard to do. So I want to congratulate you, and
Thank you very
hopefully
much.
we'll keep you busy.
I appreciate it.
Thanks,
I appreciate it. Yes, sir. Have a great day.